Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's ugly sweater-themed City Council meeting of Monday, December 16th, 2024. I'm going to call this meeting to order. And Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Schultz.
Here.
Latta.
Here.
Cruz.
Here.
Allbaker.
Here.
Ganfield.
Here.
Chrisman.
Here.
Dunn. Here. All members present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And if willing and able, could everyone please stand and join for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone. Do we have a motion to approve the regular minutes of December 2nd, 2024?
So moved. Second.
A motion and seconded, and all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Madam Clerk, any agenda revisions?
Item 13 is being removed from the resolution calendar.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And I believe that was just, we found the discrepancy in there we wanted to correct before we bring it through. Okay, and then we will now move to public forum, where speakers will have one opportunity to speak for up to 5 minutes on topics relevant to city business. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak tonight? All right, seeing none, I did want to take a second. We did get a written submittal for comment. Nothing for discussion tonight, but just wanted to make sure to acknowledge that everybody got that. So thank you. Okay, moving on to staff updates. I believe we've got a couple of updates from staff. Director Stragi, you want to take it?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to provide a update to the refuse schedule due to the upcoming holidays. City Hall will be closed December 24th and 25th, and then as well as January 1st. So Tuesday, December 24th, if that is your normal collection day, residents will be asked to place their carts out on Monday, December 23rd. And then also residents that have their normal collection on Wednesday, December 25th, we ask that they place it out on Thursday, the 26th. For January 1st, we ask that residents place their carts out on Tuesday, December 31st. Another additional update would be that the next regularly scheduled city council meeting is January 6th. Normally, the packet comes out the Wednesday prior to the meeting, which would be January 1st. So given that that's a holiday, the packet will be published on Thursday the 2nd.
And that was something we discussed with staff, just with the holiday, pushing it back one day, if everyone's good with that. Okay. Thank you, Chase. Now, moving to old business, item number 2, pass ordinance number 3087, granting a partial property tax exemption to Amazon.com Services, LLC, for a new industrial use warehouse facility constructed at 6417 Innovation Drive upon its third and final consideration. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion from council? And any from the public? All right, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 3, pass ordinance number 3088, granting a partial property tax exemption to Cedar Falls Partners, LLC, for a new industrial use warehouse facility constructed at 6700 Innovation Drive upon its third and final consideration. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded, and any discussion from council? And any from the public? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 4, pass ordinance number 3089, granting a partial property tax exemption to McDonald Construction and Remodeling, LLC, for a new industrial use warehouse facility constructed at 1701 Railway upon its third and final consideration. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded, and any discussion from council? And any from the public? All right, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 5, pass ordinance number 3090, amending Chapter 2, Administration of the Code of Ordinances relative to reestablishing the College Hill Self-Supported Municipal Improvement District upon its second consideration. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion seconded, and any discussion from council? And any from the public? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 6, pass ordinance number 3091, amending Chapter 23, Traffic and Motor Vehicles of the Code of Ordinances relative to removing calendar parking on certain portions of Ellen Street upon its second consideration. Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and seconded, and any discussion from council? And any from the public? All right, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll move to the consent calendars. The following items will be acted upon by a voice vote on a single motion without separate discussion unless someone from the council or public requests that a specific item be considered separately. Are there any requests from council to consider any items? Seeing none, any from the public? Also seeing none, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and seconded, and all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Moving to the resolution calendar, the following items will be acted upon by a roll call vote on a single motion without separate discussion, unless someone from the council or public requests a specific item be considered separately. Are there any requests from council? Seeing none, any from the public? Also seeing none, look for a motion to approve items 10 through 20, excluding 13, which has been removed for tonight.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Motion and seconded, and requires a roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Move to allow bills and claims.
So moved.
The motion to allow bills and claims for December 16th, 2024.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Any discussion from council? And any from the public? All right, seeing none, requires a roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any council updates or announcements for tonight, please?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, take it away.
I'd just like to remind everyone of the Merry and Bright Holiday Lights Tour, which is running through the holiday season. There is a map on the website or on the city's Facebook page. We have 19 houses that have signed up, so you can hop in the car with some hot cocoa and your fam and drive around and look at all the lights.
Thank you.
Thank
Councilor
you.
Chrisman.
Mr. Mayor, I have one. Is that? Oh.
Yep.
I wanted to bring to everybody's attention, beginning Thursday, the 19th, there'll be a reception at 5 o'clock to 6:30 at the Hearst Center for a show that will be starting then through March. It's kind of near and dear to my heart is the work of my now deceased brother-in-law, Denis Roussel, who was an amazing and interesting and unique fellow who had a major in chemistry, but he loved photography. And so the photography is sort of a lot of the processes that existed before film photography. And you can see his work there. I'm excited to see it, and a lot of the hard work that brought it here and having it put up is also at the hands of another brother-in-law, Matthew Wilson, who is also uniquely bright and a wonderful man. So I encourage everybody to go see the show. Thank you.
What time was it? The 19th?
The reception is Thursday, the 19th, from 5 to 6:30. But it will be in the gallery till March.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you.
Any other council updates and/or announcements? All right, seeing none. Council referrals. We have one written council referral. So item number 22, referral to review the requirement to have 2 windows and other egress requirements, square footage requirements, whether utility service can be provided separate from the main unit, and the main unit may be a rental as well as an ADU. Councilor Darrell submitted this. Sorry, your last name eluded me for the moment. Cruz. Councilor Cruz. You just want to provide some background?
I was just looking at this, and we've adopted the downtown visioning back November 2019. There was maybe some more revisions that made it more effective May and June of 2021. So we're going on 4 years almost where there are no ADUs downtown, and we're duplicating the current ADU ordinance. We pointed out a number of concerns of the language, and those are highlighted here. The biggest one is the 2-window requirement, but others, the square footage. There's section of the code, detached accessory structures, that has a sliding scale, how big the lot is, could determine how big an accessory structure is and so on. So I'd like to spend some time, whether, Mr. Mayor, you and I decide some of these and figure out a date. I originally said December 16th, which didn't happen, of course, but if we go off into February, one of the February meetings, that'll give us a month to 6 weeks to target a date sooner than later, because there's no activity on ADUs, and it's very confusing if you really start digging into some of the components. So that's what my intent is here, make it usable.
And if I can add to this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think it would be a referral to set a date for when this group would like to discuss what are some of those changes that we would like to make, and trying to see if there's a date everyone wants to set, if that's right away, if that's 6 months from now. I think, is that correct, that referral is to set a date for when we'd
Well,
like to discuss?
I was choosing December 16th to have a committee meeting. So I'm thinking we want a committee meeting to discuss these highlighted components and maybe others at a point sooner than later. And then from there, we talk about those points and pick 2, 3 of them to change, and others we can postpone, much like planning and zoning does multiple meetings on a topic. So that's what I'm thinking.
I would second to have a committee discussion, just so that we can get our stuff in order for what we would like P&Z to reconsider, so.
So we'll take it as a motion as a second to discuss. So I think then the discussion is, when would everyone like to look at having that discussion? Just probably put on as a committee meeting to talk
Sometime in
through.
the first quarter.
Mr. Mayor,
Discuss
are
what we wanna
we,
discuss.
is the referral to even see if we want to take it to committee? Are we voting on whether to even take it to committee,
Correct.
right? It's the motion and for the referral, we need to decide if we even want to go with the referral,
That's
correct?
exactly right.
Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I understood what we were talking about.
Yep. I mean, that is, because I think for this, something we're working on in this referral process is, I think it's opening up the conversation first to see if we want to do that. But then we do, I think for myself and staff, it's mainly myself and you guys' direction on when would we want to see that. Because it seemed like everybody was amenable to, when we first had this discussion, wanting to talk about it. It just was a matter of when even. And not everyone was
because-
amenable, but,
Mr. Mayor?
yep.
I may be the only one that has these concerns, but I guess I want the ADU thing to be very clear. I want it to succeed, but I also, as this came into the downtown toolbox, I guess in my mind, I didn't think that we were going to see some huge influx of ADUs, because obviously that's something that maybe only some folks would fit for their property or their lifestyle or whatever situation. I guess my question, and I don't want to get in the weeds, but I want this to be talked about. Have we had, like, conversation to staff about a possible pulling of a permit, but there's been concerns voiced? Or is there just, I just wonder if there's has there been any discussion or want and that we, as far as, that we're impeding things from happening?
I can't answer that on the spot, yes or no, but I can certainly talk with staff. What I can say is that staff acknowledges that we did not advertise the ADU component of the ordinance at all. So it may be that it's not known. We don't know.
Sure, thank you. And then I have a couple more things here. I got a little note. So the egress or the window requirements, before we get into this, is there any safety component of that would, obviously if there's a safety component and rule for that, that would kind of negate the need to change anything right away, or at least in
Mayor?
my book.
Can I interject?
Just really
Because
quick before we go anywhere with
getting
this.
in the weeds here.
I guess I'm not trying to get in the weeds, but I want to, before I say yes or no to, even moving forward, I just want to know if that's, even a thing that could change.
Of
And
course.
maybe staff doesn't know that right off the top of their head, and I apologize.
Go ahead with.
There is a requirement that a basement bedroom have an egress window for safety reasons. A second one is part of the ordinance as access to light and air and just in general livability of the unit.
Okay, and then I guess this is just my last little thing. I guess I've not heard that there's a major problem with this. And again, the other part, the second for the whole community, which I'm very proud that this body has passed, it's only been a month or so, right? And again, people probably don't even know about it. I just hope that we give it some time. If changes are needed, I'm okay with discussing changes, but to me, we haven't even let it breathe yet, and we've been trying to hammer in the changes. So anyway, I'll shut up now.
Thank you, Counselor. And Baker?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Discussion, thoughts? And then we will.
Mayor, I could comment on referring Counselor Dunn to Section 11-120 on exits. That'll answer your questions about egress requirements, and there's no reference to having 2 windows. I brought this up before in other meetings, but there's enough components here and contradictions in the code or potential contradictions for somebody inquiring that I think it justifies talking about some of these components here.
So if everyone's amenable to it, did you have?
I do. Yeah.
Counselor?
So I think my question for discussing it again would be, what is the ultimate goal? If the goal is to increase density, so we want to allow more folks to live within the space, say we're allowing 2 bedrooms, then that would increase density. I think we have some other tools that we can use. We should probably look at our duplex rules, regulations, laws, whatever you want to say, and what those look like. Right now, we only allow 1 principal unit, and then you can have 2 units within that. So if we were to say, yes, you can have 2 bedrooms, then that to me would be considered a duplex with 2 principal units on the lot. We don't allow for that right now. But we also have a lot of other options for increasing density if that's our goal. To me, the intent of an accessory dwelling unit is that it is controlled by the owner in the principal unit as an accessory. If it is not controlled by the person in the principal unit, then it's not really an accessory, it's another unit. And I think in terms of needing more rentals, probably the areas that this would be used in the most, at least I think the place that we had in mind was the older part of Cedar Falls, although happy to see them all over town. We're at a pretty high rental to homeowner ratio already. So for me, that's not really something I would even consider, so I wouldn't want that to be a part of the discussion either. It wouldn't be something I would agree to. And I think the biggest thing is I just don't want to see any backlash. If we're adding another bedroom, then we've potentially got 2 adults, we've got 2 cars. The intent of this is really, I think it's just supposed to be a small, space that's an accessory to your home to allow for some, very small sort of options that, would be pretty limited in who would probably be living in them. And again, I think if we want to see other things, then that kind of goes to our zoning code and needing to look at things as a whole. Again, this is really just supposed to be an accessory. And I think what we have now meets those needs. And I would prefer that we not look at this in a committee meeting. I don't think that's a good use of our time right now. And, if we have folks coming in who are requesting alternative, uses or styles of the ADU, I am confident that our planning department would bring up those concerns with us, let us know, hey, we're getting a lot of folks coming in that want to see 2 bedrooms. And then we could potentially discuss that. But I think right now we let this ride as it is, and, then we can potentially look at changing it sometime in the future. But I don't think it's necessary right now to discuss again.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Mr. Mayor, if I can.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of join in that, and the idea that we haven't had the ordinance very long at all. We don't know if it's an impediment at all yet. And the front of the year related to budget and CIP and those sorts of things, we're going to be pretty busy. So I'd rather that we at least have some data that we could collect over time to see what changes, if any, might be necessary to our ordinance, but we need time for that to happen. So I'm in favor of not taking up committee time at this point. Generally, I like to discuss anything, but I know we have a lot of other things to discuss, and I don't see a need for it right now.
Thank you, Counselor. Yep.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a point of clarification, if we were to make any amendments to what we've previously passed, does this have to go all the way back to P&Z again?
Yes, it would. It's part of the zoning ordinance, so Planning and Zoning Commission reviews it.
And how many readings at P&Z and then how many readings back here?
Well,
Provided we don't suspend the rules or anything else, just curious.
It's typically 2 Planning and Zoning Commission meetings on a topic. They'll first discuss it and then hold the public hearing at a second meeting and usually make a recommendation to council. And then it takes 4 meetings through council, set the public hearing, hold it, second reading, third reading.
Thanks.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I just want to reiterate, we're talking about the referral to talk about it. We've talked about all of the topics that should have been talked about at that future meeting. So I guess I'd make that just as a reminder to all council persons to stay within the process that we hold ourselves to. One clarification I would like to make for P&Z's involvement, is that just when changing zoning and setting the comp plan? Because this is an ordinance change, but it's already now legal in all zones. How would P&Z have to get involved in wording changes in the ordinance?
You're talking about a text amendment, so you're talking about changing provisions of the code.
Perfect. Thank you for that clarification.
And so to bring it to Councilor Ganfield's point, this is a vote to even open up if we want to have the referral. I think correct me if I'm wrong, the unwritten agreement in the past had kind of always been if you vote something down, we don't keep bringing it back every time. I would say, so to me, I would take the direction if we do not vote for this, that we don't want to talk about it for, I think the unwritten agreement was 6 months, because I do think we just want some direction of saying, okay, we're not saying no definitely, it's just saying we don't want to talk about it right now. So I would say I'll take this as if it's voted a no, that we don't want to see it brought back again for 6 months. And again, we can always, based on conversations with everyone, if I feel like everyone's saying, no, we would like this, bring this back. But that's how I would interpret the no vote, is a yes means we want to talk about it and then we can discuss when. A no would be just not right now.
And I would, Mr. Mayor,
go ahead.
if I may.
Go ahead.
Okay. I think the agreement, the unspoken agreement there was on resolutions that fail. That would then wait for about 6 months, just for clarification that way. But because we've talked so much about rationale against having this conversation, and they were timeline specific, I feel it's incumbent to say this ordinance was in place for nearly 3 years. And it was then moved out into the rest of town, so maybe more than 3 years. So it's not a new ordinance. We may not have advertised it, so that might be the rationale for why it didn't take off in those previous 3 years. But it's not that it's a brand new thing that we haven't seen tried. There were residents that spoke at P&Z, developers that said, I would do this, except those are the types of things that we want to talk about. The square footage, the egress windows, the complications that prevent them from doing it. So this committee meeting shouldn't be that long. It should just be, what's the max we want? What's this item that we want? And then move on. We shouldn't have had this long of a conversation about it. If nobody wants to talk about it, then we'll let it sit. And 4 council persons can come forward with a committee recommendation later.
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
Well, eventually.
Okay. I just want to say that it was said that we don't have the data. I see data conflicts written into our existing code that I've highlighted here, and we could talk about it, but I'm not getting into the weeds. I think we have barriers here in this ordinance that needs to be worked out. Some are simplistic. It wouldn't take too much. I highlighted a few of them here, and without anybody researching the codes, they wouldn't have a basis to make a decision. But I would point out, like I did, Section 11-120 on exit criteria in our current code, Section 26-126, detached auxiliary structures. And my question would be, do all of these, there's about 7, 8 pages. Would all these apply to an ADU? Because there's all sorts of things in here about overall height, maximum allowable height between two opposite walls, positioning on a lot. If you got an acre or 2 acres or 3 acres, you have a sliding scale, how big a detached accessory structure can be.
Just to keep it to the referral discussion, let's not.
Oh,
go
that's
into
what I'm trying to, everybody else did. They broadened out, so I want to defend or promote why we should talk about this cursory at a committee meeting. It doesn't have to be in February. If we're busy for budgeting, we could do March or we could do April, but there are components in here that really need to be addressed, and we will dramatically improve the likability of building these on our lots. It's not about density, it's about conflicts in ordinance. It's funny how when we have some projects in front of us, when we have multi-story apartment buildings, they want density. Now we say we don't want density because the ADUs will potentially contribute to that. But the housing study said we need a variety of uses. We put in an ordinance that nobody wanted to tweak it for some reason. And I am an analytic and pragmatic on this, and I say we need to tweak this to improve it. And it wouldn't take that much to improve it. We can get in the weeds about saying, is this a duplex or is it an ADU? I put in here, do we need a separate utility service to the structure? Do you get a different post office address? Does that make it a duplex? You could go into the weeds and lots of questions. So I'm looking at some of the very basic ones here to talk about to move it forward in a more usable section of the code.
Okay,
That's all I want.
thank you, Counselor. And Counselor Schultz?
I'll start off by saying that I'm sorry to inform you, Mr. Mayor, that 26 minutes is...
24, I think was Chris's last meeting,
You
but
didn't beat the standard that Mr. Latta set, but I agree. I think Mr. Ganfield had mentioned that it's not that we don't want to talk about it, as Aaron said, but we have a lot right now. One of the things that is hesitant to me is, and Mr. Manning is here, that if you were to build one of these ADUs for a one-bedroom at maybe $125,000 to $175,000, that maybe isn't an interest for a lot of builders, where maybe a two-bedroom would be. And I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying that the discussion is maybe more something that would go along in the future. So,
okay. Thank you, Counselor. So the motion is the referral to review it. I would take it as if it's voted yes, it would be to set a committee meeting to have this more detailed conversation about what are the changes we're asking to make. And if we vote yes, I'll then seek to get a little bit of feeling on when. If it's no, it's to say we're not interested in discussing this right now, and we can broach it at a later date.
Define later date.
I would say
6 months?
6 months.
Yep, I would say 6 months.
Okay, obviously, anybody can make the referral, but
Yep.
to me, when you vote something down, I mean, if Daryl or Councilman Cruz wants to bring it up again in 6 months, he's welcome to do it. But I don't think I'm not, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not relying on you or this body to bring it back up. We can bring it up just like it is right now for referral and consider then, and the answer may still be the same. But anyway, that's the way it traditionally has been.
And
So you're, sorry.
because I think essentially we're going to the discussion about the referral process and just, do we want that to be, if you guys submit, we're not going to get into that tonight. So I would say for the point of making a vote tonight, it would be, it's direction that we're just not interested at this time,
Mayor.
and we can broach it at a later date.
I'd like to amend my referral to put in a 4-month time frame till we get past the budget process, and when we get more of an open schedule. People are kind of hung up on the fact that, we need data, we need this, we need that. I want to get the motion going, and I don't want this to sit there for a year, year and a half, like some of the referrals seem to. Let's do it after the budget process is done and we certify our budget. And Jennifer, when does that take place? Ms.
April
Bodebeck?
30th. We have
April
to have it
30th. So
filed.
how about May 1st, whatever day? Sometime after the budget
So if you just
schedule
want to say
opens up.
May. So you're looking to amend it to say at a May council meeting
Yeah,
or a May committee meeting?
yeah.
Bring back the discussion.
Yes.
So it's been motion to amend. Is there a second
Second.
to amend? Any discussion on the amendment? So all those in favor of the amendment to make it with May?
Aye.
Aye.
Voice
Aye.
vote. All in favor? All opposed?
Nay.
So that passes 6-1. So the motion then is a referral to bring back in May a committee discussion on these potential changes. Any discussion on that? All right, seeing none. Just quick point of order. Do we need public comment when we're setting Attorney Rogers?
It's not an action item, so
Okay.
this is an internal referral process.
Okay. So it's set May. No further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
5-2, did you get that? Show of hands, all those in favor? Got it. Okay, and that motion carries. So we'll look to bring this back in May as a committee discussion item. So if nothing else, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Have a great Christmas and New Year, and happy holidays.
Mr. Mayor.